There are bran cakes in the glove compartment. Oh.
Well, the ending to Stranger Things came and went. Years of hype and excitement all led to an explosive New Year's Eve, with the show seeing the most viewership and praise it's ever received. I feel the need to get this out there and not to sound like that guy, but I kind of always knew 11 was toast. If you recall in my last video, I mentioned that the fate of Will Byers hung almost entirely on what the Duffer Brothers wanted to do with 11. And it also seemed quite likely to me that 11 would eventually have to sacrifice herself in some way. She was the one who opened the gate, and symbolic story writing demands that she be the one to close it for good. And this theory of mine was heavily supported throughout Season 5, especially with Kali playing as Elle's conscience to lead her to make this ultimate sacrifice until the last scene when, well, she does it. And as satisfied as I was with that bittersweet ending, as much as I do enjoy a good tragedy, I had a few hesitations before I handed off the Greatest Writers Ever award to the Stranger Things team. As heartfelt as it was, the ending also felt a bit stale to me. The big fight scene with Vecna and his horrifying spider monster in Dimension X seemed a bit rushed and a little cartoonish, really. If all it took was a few fireballs and turning Henry into a Vecna kebab, why didn't anyone try that sooner? And how was he able to be vanquished so easily? This dude survived a Molotov cocktail to the face, being shot in the junk multiple times with a shotgun, and then he flung himself out of a 3-story building. He gets up, licks his wounds, and amassed an army of ugliness over the next 18 months. I'm not saying he didn't take some damage in Season 4. He did, but if he can survive all of that, how was he not able to fend off a ragtag Scooby-Doo crew and 11? Why did he break so easily?
And you broke so easily.
And what about the moments leading up to 11's sacrifice? Dr. K successfully apprehends the entire party. Everyone that was involved in the operation into the Upside Down and Dimension X has been caught. So after Elle seals up the gate, are we really expected to believe that K just gives everyone a slap on the wrist and lets them go? Like some comic book villain, she just goes, well, the girl I was after just disappeared. Guess that's it. Must be dead. Oh well, milkshakes are on me tonight, boys. No, she would make sure that every loose end was tied. She would torture, imprison, and truth serum every one of them to get any kind of confession out of them, anything to prove that 11 is actually gone and that this wasn't some sort of trick, especially since they knew that Kali was working with them. And they knew that Kali was a master illusionist. That's her power. And what about Hopper? The dude killed dozens of US soldiers, and we just expect him to walk the streets a free man, able to propose to Joyce and give Mike that last little bit of wise old man advice? Not a chance. If they didn't outright execute him, he'd rot in a federal prison. But the moment that rubbed me the wrong way the most, I think, was the epilogue. It seemed flat, static, and predictable. Everyone gets their happy ending. Everyone lives on and walks into the sunset. Everyone except for Mike, who tragically writes 11-themed fanfics in his bedroom. Why does everyone have this perfect, idyllic life now, and why is Mike so miserable, and why was there so much of a focus on his point of view? Something just seems off. Now, I don't want anyone to assume that I'm just some big old hater now because the last episode didn't meet some expectations of mine. It was still excellent. I still got all emotional and weepy, and I got the ending I was expecting all along. It's bittersweet, and the ambiguity of 11's disappearance, as Mike explains his alternate theory about how Elle actually made it out alive, leaves us with a sense of wonder. It leaves us searching for her in a way. In the same way that Mike was searching for her at the end of Season 1, after she takes herself and the Demogorgon away. In fact, this last episode had a lot of parallels to the first season. The Duffers originally intended to kill 11 off in Season 1. That gut punch was intentional from the very beginning, and this is just an extended version of that. And if that's truly the route that they want to go with, I support it 100%. I don't think this ending was bad at all, and I've seen fantastic shows get much worse treatment by Netflix in the final season. I'm looking at you, Umbrella Academy. But some fans out there just can't let this go. They can't accept the fact that this is the true ending. It's left a bad taste in the mouth, and much like myself, it's left them wanting. They believe that there are some big things missing here, that this narrative we're left with isn't the full picture. And after a bit of digging into some of the theories floating around, I'm starting to believe they might be onto something. What if the show is deceiving us? What if this is not the true ending of Stranger Things? And what if Mike Wheeler has met the same terrible fate as his little sister? What if Mike has been mind flayed? Now, there's good reason for Vecna to do this. Mike has been described several times, by Will specifically, as the heart of the party. And throughout Season 5, we see him take on a much stronger leadership role. He's taking care of others, checking in and making sure everyone is okay, keeping morale high. He's fulfilling his role as the paladin that the group sees him as. But if you took that person away, you could demoralize a group pretty quickly. Maybe Mike is trapped in this bittersweet malaise, accepting what he feels is reality because it keeps him contained, keeps him controlled, makes him abandon all hope. Now, on the surface, this theory may sound a bit far-fetched, but several internet sleuths out there have dug up some pretty compelling evidence to support this. The most significant, I think, comes from a TikToker by the username of Heir to Icarus. In the epilogue, we find Mike finally accepting what happened to Eleven. After moping around for a bit, he marches up to his graduation and reunites with his friends. His buddy Dustin gives a powerful speech about the importance of accepting those who are different from you and always staying true to your friends. And then suddenly, bam, he gives his principal the finger while he's wearing a t-shirt that says, "Hellfire lives." Now right here is where Icarus wants us to pause and look at the flag. I mean, really look at it. It looks like Dustin took some creative liberties to the original Hellfire Club's logo. That seems a bit uncharacteristic for a guy who has been adamant about staying true to Eddie Munson's memory exactly as it was, and the changes are bizarre too. The demon's head now sits in front of a shield, a very similar looking shield to the one Mike wields in Will's painting of him. On that shield is the symbol of a heart, which is now covered up by the demon's head. Could this be symbolism for Vecna hiding the heart of the party? And what about the dice? Where a D4 used to be, a 20-sider takes the place, and on that 20-sider is the number 11. A side note to this that Icarus didn't mention, but if you were to just read that straight across, given the position of the 20-sider, it could be read as 11 lives. But let's move on to the basement scene, a great harkening back to the first season, and here we find the group running a D&D campaign just like they used to. In fact, this is their last campaign, as they stack up their player binders on Mike's shelf one last time. It's a very moving, very touching scene, but as we're swept up with all of the emotion, we fail to miss a few key details. For one, the doorknob on the back door to the basement is on the wrong side. But perhaps the most chilling and peculiar piece of background information is found on a board game called What's It. Now, What's It is a board game that was originally released in 1987, the same year that Season 5 starts. But it's also the nickname given to Henry Creel by the children he kidnaps throughout the season, a reference to A Wrinkle in Time, of course. And that might be the most damning piece of evidence we have that something is not right with Mike. Why? Because throughout the entirety of this season, we have listened to Max, who's been a wanderer of this artificial reality for years, tell Holly that she needs to be aware of things that are out of place. Sometimes they can be very subtle. We saw them in detail walk through Holly's memories in episode 5. We know how lifelike and real these memories can be. What if the reason why this epilogue feels like such a callback to season 1 isn't just because it's a cool nod to the fans? What if Mike is reliving these memories because he's trapped and doesn't know it? Now, I've been doing a fair bit of research on this now and all of these theories, and I've come across many fan theories that go much deeper than this. And in my experience with theories, the deeper down the rabbit hole you go, the more off the theories tend to be. But if we just look at these hints in the epilogue alone, we are left with a strong bunch of empirical evidence which suggests that Mike really is trapped in his own mind, or Vecna's mind. However that works. Now, maybe this is all just conspiracy theory. Maybe the naysayers are right, and these theories are just the result of sloppy writing and lazy endings, the mind's desperate need to fill the gaps made by faulty playwrights. But sloppy writing doesn't intentionally throw in subtle clues like environment changes. Throughout Season 5, there's been tons of odd behaviors and things lurking in the background that would have nothing to do with lazy writing. Characters making gestures or behavioral cues that are normally attributed to another character, strange angles that make the whole thing feel almost surreal and uncanny, even for a horror series. Maybe these are the clues that the Duffers left for all superfans of the show to discover, like breadcrumbs or Reese's Pieces. Scott Cawthon made an entire franchise off of games whose lore was only found in context clues in the game's environment. If he could do that, why couldn't an entire team of seasoned writers add a little pre-planned paranoia to their story? Say what you will, but it seems like there's just too many coincidences for this to truly be the end. And like Lucas said while he broke the fourth wall, something no character has ever done in the entire series, mind you.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't believe in coincidences. Not anymore.
But what are your thoughts on this? Am I crazy? Am I insane? Probably. Let me know if you have any crazy theories, and if so, leave them in the comments. I want to know. And if you want to see more videos like this, obviously don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.